The classiest, warmest, furriest episode of Hope Ignited begins now.
If you're not watching on YouTube and you're only listening, we can't encourage you enough to take a gander at our episode on YouTube.
I would like to describe
this is the stupidest I've ever looked in here, and that's saying a lot.
I want to describe you to them if they're listening. And if you're watching, you're welcome in advance for this fashion. This is your look of the day. Okay, Kevin's look of the day is a terrible sports team starter jacket. Texas Tech.
Oh, come on.
The best thing that ever happened to them was Cliff Kingsbury. I will say you could legit probably sell this for $100 million though right now because the resale market for starter jackets is insane.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Not this? Well, maybe it is.
If you ever get into a pickle, you put that thing on eBay and you're going to be a millionaire.
Really?
You're also wearing what I would assume is your wife's scarf. Shout out to Amanda for dressing your neck.
Gloves.
Yeah, and those are her gloves.
I pulled a box down from the top of my closet.
From 1970,
said, warm things on it. And I was desperately searching for my old ski gloves and no idea where they are. And so I pulled these out and I go, this will work. I just saw something gray. And I think I have like women's isotoners on or something like that.
They're very shimmery. They are shiny.
They're way too tight.
Yep.
And when I put my hand on the microphone, I have a serial killer vibe.
It's real creepy. It's real creepy.
Well, why don't you talk to us, Chewbacca?
Is that how you do it?
No, I can do a good Chewbacca. Ready?
That's weird. How'd you discover that talent?
I hope that peeked out the microphone, Jordan, our producer.
I am wearing Kevin's chest hair on today's episode.
Yeah,
and
Richard Branson, actually.
This is giving to me like rich Frisco mom spring break.
You look like, and I was thinking this a few minutes ago, you look like the villain's wife at a ski resort from like the 80s movie that like the land developer or something like that. His
like
wife gets out of an old Mercedes convertible.
Yeah.
And she's holding like a martini or something like that. And then she's just tells the kids like, some general curse over the kids.
I might be drinking a martini right now and you wouldn't know because of this Hope Ignited mug. Okay. Why are we dressed like this? But I'm sweating.
Oh, by the way, it's like 100 degrees outside. I mean, we are in air conditioning, but
we couldn't
pick a worse time to be wearing ski clothes.
No, I'm sweating in places I shouldn't be sweating. I'm sweating a lot right now, actually. Yeah. There are layers and layers of sweat underneath this Big Bird outfit right now. You know, we are wearing this to get into the Olympic spirit.
The Olympic spirit, and not the Summer Olympics, the Winter Olympics, because that is our episode this particular week that we're dropping here.
We're throwing it back.
Is a throwback to season 1, where we had the amazing U.S. Olympian Johnny Quinn.
Bobsledder
Johnny Quinn was on one of our early episodes, and not a lot of, we had less people that were listening back in the first season than we do now. And so a lot of you didn't even know that was going to happen because we are actually heading towards the Summer Olympics here pretty soon.
Yeah, we've got a really big Olympics episode. I'm just going to preview that. A very big episode that will be dropping soon. So we really thought, why wouldn't we kick it off, give you guys a bonus week, give you guys a bonus throwback of, to date, I mean, the only U.S. Olympic bobsledder we've had on the show.
Yeah.
So far. I mean, there's a chance. We could interview the entire cast of Cool Runnings, maybe.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? That was one of my favorite movies.
No, same. I need to run right now. This is insane. I'm losing weight during this episode because I'm sweating so much. I think people are going to love it, though. I think it's a special treat to have a throwback. I think it's an even more special treat that you got to see these outfits, especially that.
Yeah,
nonsense
just
you
FYI,
have on. Happy Halloween, everyone.
The reason, I mean, this is literally what I wore, well, aside from my wife's gloves, this is what I wore when I went skiing probably 20 years ago, because I used to go when I was broke. So I had like whatever I could find in a garage sale kind of thing. And, obviously this is what I wear every day. Went to Nordstrom and selected your outfit.
That's
and you
true.
have 5 different outfits for your ski
That's
vacation in Vail.
Yep, I got it off the rack.
And
well,
so I like this class disparity that we have here.
I just think now we got to continue to step it up for all these episodes. We're going to have to go shopping.
Yeah, we're gonna have some themes. So listen, just a reminder again, if you are audio listener, please jump on YouTube, and we really want to hear your comments. We're enjoying the comments in real world. When we hear people, we know you guys are watching. We're having a great time with it. We were a little out of seat, a little kind of odd on our drops. So we're dropping every Wednesday or every other Wednesday, and having a great time with it so far. We've had, I don't know, 6 episodes or something like that this season.
And if you want to know why we got off track, go check out our Instagram, because I gave you guys a big fat hint.
I mean,
a golden hint.
Unbelievable. We have set the uneven bar, very, very high.
Oh, yes. We're really balancing the beam of hints here.
Yeah. I ran out of events.
And we're done.
The floor routine of our lives.
Yes.
Oh, shoot. I ran out of steam. Okay.
Yep. Let's flip it back to our episode. I hope you guys enjoy this throwback episode with Johnny Quinn.
Enjoy.
All right, you guys, we're very excited to be back here at the Hope Ignited table today. We've got a very special guest, and I know, again, this is going to be an episode where we wish we had all the time in the world to chat, but brevity will be key today because we have a lot to get to.
We just need to shut up and let this guy start talking, because he is a dynamite speaker, and I'm really excited to have him in here. But before we get to that,
honor and privilege, U.S. Olympian, former NFL player, speaker to the stars. You're a dad, you're a husband, you're a friend. Welcome to the Hope Ignited table, Johnny Quinn. Thanks for being here.
Johnny Quinn.
Thanks, friends.
Pump in the applause. We've been trying to do this for a very long time. I know you're a very busy person. And I just want to say it really does mean a lot. It's so funny because our town that we live in gets smaller every day. And for years, I know you'll attest to this, people have been saying, you guys have got to meet. You've got to be intentional about doing life together and network and help one another. And it's finally happening. And we're just going to record it. We're going to record it happening.
I love it. You're right.
It's a good day.
Our Facebook, I'll have to go look later on. Yeah. It's got to be 50 or 100 people.
No doubt. Yeah.
You know, obviously starting out with shout out to John McKenzie, pastor here in Frisco, Texas. Good mutual friend of ours. We're excited to have you in here today. There's so many things. Even before we were getting started, you guys brought up a story that I totally forgot about, which is probably your signature story. So we'll get to that in a minute. There's a lot to tune into here on the podcast.
I think we got to start out though with UNT.
Okay.
I mean, local fan, right? Like for those that aren't listening, so the DFW area, we've got a lot of colleges actually here now locally, but UNT, Go Mean Green.
That's right.
Let's bring us back to UNT and your time there.
Yeah. So UNT came on very late during my recruiting process. I went to McKinney High School, and I knew I wanted to play in the NFL. Well, the step that you need to take to get to the NFL is you got to play college ball.
Yeah.
And North Texas came in with my only Division I scholarship 2 days before signing day. And so couldn't turn down a full ride in our backyard. And going to the University of North Texas in good old Denton, America, it was an incredible experience. Earned a degree in pre-law. We went to 3 bowl games, played in 3 conference championships, and so had an awesome time there. And I'm still connected to the program. I'm excited about the new head coach, Eric Morris, who we happen to be roommates together back in the day. So kind of funny to see how this is, everything's connected.
No kidding.
And I loved my time with the Mean Green. Just awesome people.
I know you're a parent. We talk about this all the time, but when we do walks in our neighborhood, you can see the UNT Frisco campus, being built up.
Yeah.
And I always tell my kids, I'm like, you're going to go right there. That's the college. My husband's like, trust me, you're going to want them to go further away than that. And I'm like, but it's such a great school. So I love hearing how much you love UNT. And I know you do go to the games. I think that's really important about you is you're a lifer. You're loyal, right? Like you go to those games, you support that program. So then let's talk NFL. What happens after UNT?
Yeah, so it was time to turn pro. And I remember getting ready for the NFL draft. My family, we interviewed 8 agents. They all flew to Texas, put on their best show. We picked the agent who was right for me. And he calls me one night and he goes, Johnny, I think you're going to get drafted. And so I'm thinking, okay, here we go, right? This is the next step. And 35 wide receivers were drafted in the NFL draft the year that I came out, and I was not one of them. And so at that point, I was thinking, okay, we're just going to do this the hard way. Like, where North Texas came in at the last moment, we're going to find an NFL team to give me an opportunity. And so I started with the Buffalo Bills, but got cut. went to the Green Bay Packers, got cut again. And so that moved my career to the Canadian Football League. Did you know they played football in Canada?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go to these Saskatchewan Rough Riders. So, if we got any Rider fans tuning in. And so here's what I'm thinking, right? A lot of adversity in the NFL, kept getting cut, couldn't find a way to stick on a roster. I go to the CFL and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to claw my way back into the NFL. And so I make the team in Canada, earn a starting spot on the roster, getting great film, and then I blow out my knee in Canada, torn ACL. And at that point, friends, that was the end of my pro football
How old were
career.
you at this point?
I was 26.
Oh, that's so young.
I know. And so that not to jump
and
ahead,
football
but
was everything you knew at that point.
Yeah, it really was. And I was so distraught when I got cut from the CFL because here I am, 3 cuts. I lost $2.6 million in NFL contracts, and I'm blowing out me. Right? Yeah. And so I'm thinking, okay, I still have something left in the tank, but my agent can't find a team because I look like damaged goods on paper, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants a guy who's been cut 3 times, blown out knee, and all of that. And so at that point, my agent's like, "Hey, do you want to try bobsled?"
How do you go from that?
How did they even?
Here's the only correlation. I was going to ask you. You go from McKinney, Texas to Denton, Texas.
That's right.
It's a little bit hot here.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yep.
Green Bay.
Yep.
Canada.
Yep.
Do you like cold weather?
Well, that's where I only have my opportunities. I had no choice.
Oh my gosh.
I had to step into the cold weather front. So check this. My agent represented a bobsledder back in the day.
Okay, so that's how the thought was even planted.
Well, that started, and at the same time, around that time, my mom had a coworker who was a bobsledder back in the day. So I've got 2 avenues here to bobsledding.
Yeah.
And there's no NCAA level bobsledding, right? You can't go to college to be a bobsledder.
Yeah, you've also seen the movie Cool Runnings.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
you're
you
fully
just watch that
qualified.
over and over.
Yeah.
Really put bobsledding on the map.
Yeah.
And so things started to line up because they look for former football guys with a track background. I ran track at UNT as well. And so I kind of fit the mold, right, that they were looking for and where they recruit from. And so, I sent some of my film of like me sprinting to this driver at the Olympic Training Center. He's like, "Johnny, hey, come out here in a couple months, push a bobsled around, see if you like it." And so I said, "Okay, look, I'll come out, but if my agent finds a football team, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Right, I'm out. True story. 1 month before I'm supposed to go get my Cool Runnings on, I get a phone call from this driver. "Johnny, one of my guys has showed up overweight. Do you want to come up now and compete in the U.S. 4-man team trials?"
That's insane.
And so I'm thinking, well, when's the race? He goes, "It's in 2 days." I said, 2 days.
So what year is this?
This would have been 2010.
2010. Okay.
And I said, okay.
And you had never done anything?
Ever. No. My first time ever on ice was at the U.S. 4-man team trials. And we took 3rd place. And so that started this new journey.
That's your God wink, though.
Yeah.
Nothing like that happens by coincidence.
Yeah, so think about this. I grow up in Texas. I play football. This is the mecca for Texas high school football.
Yeah.
I want to go to the NFL. When bobsledding came on my plate, football, when I got to the NFL, became an unhealthy idol. And until that was taken away, I can't really take any credit for bobsled. Right? You don't grow up, at least when you live in Texas, thinking you're going to be a bobsledder for the United States of America. And so, Ashley, to your point, for that door to open, and then it really cemented when I made the Olympic team and I'm walking in opening ceremonies, to see, God redeem my athletic career in that way, because my NFL career was an absolute train wreck. I mean, it was just, at the end of the day, it was an NFL failure. And then to becoming an Olympian, it's pretty awesome.
I don't think it's a failure. I think God was just saving you for something bigger.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like everyone that I've ever heard of, and I want to show you a picture.
Yeah.
We were talking about this ahead of time. I promise you, audience, that Johnny doesn't know I'm going to show him this, but everyone that I've known that got into that world, they stumbled into it.
Right.
Almost kind of like... because again, no matter where you're from, bobsled's not a mainstream thing. Like there's only a handful of tracks that you could even do that on. And then there's no pro league or anything like that. The sponsorship, it's a very underfunded sport.
It is.
And
It
a
is.
lot of the folks that do skeleton and bobsled are they have jobs and they have other things they have to do.
How do you know this? Are
Okay,
you like
so
a bobsled
I've eased it up
expert?
We have two
What is
bobsledders in
happening?
here today.
I never
right?
We have
bobsledded, but
here.
okay,
This
so
is
that's me over on the right. Do you recognize some of those faces?
Oh my gosh. Bree, Steve Holcomb, Emily, Justin, my teammate from the Olympics, Langton, Chuck Berkeley, Steve Messler,
Okay.
That's crazy.
Katie Ulander. What are you in this photo?
2010, we got a call, National Breast Cancer Foundation got a call, and the Bobsled Federation and Skeleton Federation reached out to us and said, we are getting ready to go over, where was it, 2010?
10 would have been Vancouver.
Okay, Vancouver. We're
Or
getting
Whistler,
ready. We're getting ready to go out to Whistler or whatever, and we're in Park Cities, and we wanted to do a fundraiser for you. We want to have you guys come out to dinner. So I went out with a colleague out there to Park Cities and hung out with the team for a couple days, and there was this dinner. They had the dinner that was kind of the pep rally, if you will, to get the team all motivated. They brought in. I'm trying to remember which coach it was. It was who are the Harbaugh, or wait, is it Harbaugh?
Yeah,
John
Michigan.
Harbaugh, maybe the Baltimore Ravens coach at the time.
Yeah.
He came in and did the motivational speech.
Oh, beautiful.
And so he was telling everyone in the room, he said, there is a gold medal in this room.
Yes.
And as you know, before, and the audience may not know this, but before that, it had been a drought for the men's
62
team.
years.
And the great Steve Holcomb, rest in peace. He was the driver. And so I was in the room where he said to all of them, there is a gold medal in this room. You guys are going to do it. And he inspired everyone. And it was an incredible experience. Well, I took, some pictures for the team. We did this whole fundraising thing. But I ended up becoming friends with Bree Schaaf, who became an NBCF commentator.
That's right.
Katie Erlander, she's Facebook friend, and she's a skeleton, which is crazy. One of the little things that I thought was so interesting before this, I didn't know this, was that the luge folks and the bobsled skeleton are two different worlds.
That's right.
And they don't like each other. It's like
we're separate.
gangs.
Yeah.
They're the luge folks are apparently the reputation. I remember some of the bobsled folks were like, yeah, we're Miller Lite, whatever, and they're the champagne flute. There's that kind of stuff where they give each other a hard time. But yeah, 2010. So you had tried out.
So that picture had to have been taken. But you're getting ready for Vancouver.
Yeah, like
so that would
2
have been
days before they left.
Okay, so that would have been in February.
For the Olympics,
so they probably went in January. So that was probably in January.
Yeah.
My bobsledding career started that October.
Stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stop. During Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
But I was teammates. I was with.
And then those guys are your teammates.
With a lot a lot of them in the Olympic Games. And that is so cool.
Yeah, and isn't that neat how God's brought us back together, in path. And I think that's interesting.
Here's why we don't travel with the losers, just so you have some inside information.
Some luge hate.
The losers.
Yeah,
you don't get good luge hate.
The losers.
So bobsled and skeleton can share the same track, and we all travel together. Luge, they actually have to have the track cut differently.
Yeah, of course they do.
Right? And so they're on a different circuit. We'll have some crossover locations, but we aren't ever at the same track at the same time because it has to be cut differently.
Yeah.
So that's just some
insider
technical knowledge.
Separation breeds hostilities.
There you go.
And all that.
Yeah.
So the solution is a really great movie concept would be that you get one track and you all have to work together. And then you becoming friends, right? Sort of like the Soviets and the Americans back in the early 80s.
We need a track to unite us.
A track to unite. That could be it.
That's the
title right there.
That is the podcast today. A track to unite us.
That sounds more like a Lifetime movie, though.
So you get there.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
At the games.
Yes, you're at the games.
Think about that. I mean, to wear the red, white, and blue and to represent our country on the world's greatest stage athletically. I remember walking through opening ceremonies and hearing them say the United States of America. I mean, you are fired up, right? The adrenaline is out of the roof.
Can't even imagine.
Well, the Olympics happen over 17 days. And so we get the schedule. When's the bobsled race? Day 16. So we're like, whoa, we got to calm this thing down a little bit. Let us give us a chance to go to other venues, support other Team USA athletes.
Do you get to practice during that time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got certain practice times. One thing that was unique, everything operates around TV time, right? And so races are scheduled around when is it your time to be on NBC. And so bobsled was scheduled the first day, it's a 2-day event, was scheduled for 8:30 p.m. start for the first heat, 10 p.m. start for the second heat.
Nothing good happens after 9 o'clock.
There you go. Well, check this. During the season, so for 4 years, you're on this World Cup circuit. Well, every race in the World Cup starts like at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And so when we got the schedule and understood that the bobsled races have been switched to evening/nighttime, we started moving our training, when we would lift, when we would eat, what time you get up, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got to make sure that all cylinders are firing at that time. Because for 4 years, you're used to being in bed or getting ready, winding down. We're at the Olympic Games. No, we got to crank this thing up.
Yeah.
And so that was some of the adjustments we had to work through in Russia.
That's good you had time.
Yeah.
Okay, so your most probably iconic story, at least the one that got the most press. Tell. I'd love to hear this firsthand from you.
Yeah, so after opening ceremonies the next day, right, still on that adrenaline high from walking in the Olympic Games, I get stuck in my bathroom. I'm in the Olympic Village. My teammate, who's also my roommate, was in the weight room, so he wasn't there. And I cannot get out of my bathroom. And
but not like you have a tummy ache. Like
no.
Into your bathroom.
Playing words with friends, and you're like, I can't.
So I just showered. I'm trying to get out of my bathroom,
Yeah.
and I'm like, did I lock it? Is there a lock on the outside? Is somebody playing a joke? Why won't this open?
Yeah,
right?
We're funny guys. Yeah.
And so I'm
What
in
kind
this.
of lock is it?
I don't even. I don't even remember. It was one where you had to turn it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so so I'm messing with the lock. I'm like, well, what's going on? And I'm waiting around. Nobody's coming. Well, in the Olympic Village, all of our rooms run parallel to a hallway. And so after the frustration has sat in, I'm hitting the side of the bathroom to see if maybe somebody's walking right in the village to come, hey, help me out. Well, I get to the door and I hit it kind of hard, and it cracks. And so at that point, I'm like, well, let me just finish what we started, right?
There you go.
And so I break down this door. I get out, get a towel, get dressed, and I look back at the bathroom door, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I am going to get sent home from the Olympics.
You break it,
I just broke. Yeah,
Or
I broke
go to
a
the
door.
Gulag, right? It was in Sochi, Russia.
Yeah, we're here in southern Russia. And so I'm like, well, I need to go notify the USOC, the United States Olympic Committee, let them know that, there's no foul play going on. Like, I couldn't get out of my bathroom, had to break through the door. Do we need to get this fixed?
Yeah.
How do we do this?
No roid rage or anything.
So exactly. So I took a picture, put it on social media, and this is about midday Russia time, so about 2 a.m. here in Texas. I think we're 10 hours ahead. The BBC took it first. They kicked it over to Yahoo. In 24 hours, got 28,000 retweets seen by 10 million people across the world. It went bananas. Insane.
Yeah.
So, from a timing standpoint and all that, I mean, things were lining up, but crazy. I should have kept some of the door. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I didn't know.
For sure.
It's like the Berlin Wall collecting pieces.
Yeah.
It's equally historic, right?
Yeah.
But
there you go.
I was just thinking about this. Is there a worse person you could have trapped in a drywall, like a bobsled
right.
sprinter?
Yeah.
Basically, you're the guy. Like, I'm trying to think of it. I mean, you could audition for the Kool-Aid Man.
There you go.
Afterwards,
Yeah.
right? Did anybody come to you with any kind of like crazy tie-in endorsement thing, like lock people or door? Did you get anything like that?
So we had some fun stuff come in. McDonald's came in. We did a 5-tweet deal with McDonald's. And
deal's so great, you got to break down a wall to get through.
There you go. And so I'd have to take pictures, and it was fun. Like here I am in Russia with a Big Mac.
Yeah.
But I didn't anticipate the backlash I would get on social media from that. What is an Olympian doing eating a hamburger before the race? And I can't say, well, they're paying me to tweet, but
protein.
Yeah. It's protein. I wasn't thinking that quickly.
Yeah.
But we did have some deals come in, which was fun.
But all the tags I could see, like, breaks down barriers, breaks through walls.
Exactly.
So good.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
So good.
Well, that's a fun story.
Yeah.
But tell us about that first run, because I just don't think any of us can comprehend what that feels like to be on the starting line. You got your hands on the handlebar.
Yeah.
And where are you in that position?
I was the number 3 guy, so I was on the right side. 3 out of 4 guys, so I was the 3 guy. And
is your heart racing?
Yeah, you are fired up. You are full speed but under control. So
I've never been able to say that about myself. Ever.
So it's everything has come to a head at this moment, right? And so some of the flashbacks play of your upbringing, of what you went through to get to this point. As you look down the start block, you see all the flags waving of all the countries. Very cool thing to see. I had 9 people there. My fiance at the time, now my wife, we were engaged.
Now, where are they? Are they mid-track down the end?
So at the beginning of the race or at the start, the final run, they were at the finish line. But there were 4 runs. But day one,
so they're yelling for you. You can hear them.
And what's interesting is it is so loud, but you are so focused that I don't remember hearing anything because you're dialed in on the moment. And the other thing you got to think through, there are 4 guys on this bobsled, and we all have to hit the sled at the right time. And so there's a cadence that we call, that we use, and so you're listening for that. But yeah, it's full speed, under control, aggression, and power with speed. And
that's how I lead every meeting.
That's how you lead. Yeah.
Monday I would attest to that. I'll second that.
So I mean, it was awesome. Right? Yeah. So think about this: 4 years of work for 3 minutes of ice time.
I can't even imagine.
I can't.
And so the question is it worth it? Yeah.
Controlling that's the real issue. It's like a volcano, right? You're ready to just...
Exactly. And so you think through, sprint angles. You don't want... You got to be in the perfect angle. But you've done it so many times that you know where you need to be, and now it's time to execute.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Incredible.
The thing I was thinking about leading up to this, too, is like you got to participate in such a unique sport that like none of us will really be able to do. Okay, like we can all go do football. We can all go do, there's so many things. Like, when are we ever going to get to be in a bobsled?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so cool though to hear like a firsthand tale of that, like what is the ideal physique of a bobsledder?
Yeah. So if you could chisel out the ideal bobsledder, they would be 6'3", 235 pounds. That's the
I got
ideal.
the 235.
I was 5'11" and 7/8. Scouts wouldn't even give me 6, but I weighed 220.
Yeah.
And so, and that's one of maybe a learning topic that I speak on when I go in and speak is, okay, well, how do we find a way to get the job done with the current resources available? Right? So 5'11", 7/8, 15 pounds lighter than the, quote unquote ideal bobsledder. Look, I'm still going to find a way to make this United States Olympic team.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to maximize resources, everything that I have access to. And so, and it was a reward to be at the Olympics. It really was. Yeah, it was a reward.
I think the cool thing about that too is it's for a lot of people that's their pinnacle.
Yeah.
And I would say from a professional sport, like you said, you train your whole life for that moment. I think what's unique about you, Johnny, is that your greatest seasons came after that.
Yeah,
your seasons of life.
Yeah.
Like we're parents, we've all got spouses. We're so proud of that. But and I think too, the way that you've given back by telling your story, we talk a lot about hope here. MBCF was founded on hope. What does hope mean to you?
Yeah. So when I look at the world as a whole, something's broken. And I think if we could collectively get 8 billion people in a room, I think everybody could acknowledge something's broken.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, from there, we can go in a bunch of different directions on, okay, well, how do we fix what's broken? What's broken? And and for history of mankind, everybody's kind of tried their different thing on what is broken. And so when I think of hope, I think of hope from, well, is there a way to fix this, right? And I would say, especially in this area, in the western side of the world, what we have dived into is this idea around self-help, this idea around, well, if I can just be more disciplined in my life, like I'm going to discipline my body, I'm going to discipline the way that I eat, I'm going to discipline my actions. And there's some reward to that. There's some fruit, right? But if you could take it from a guy who's been very disciplined with his body physically.
Big Mac.
Big Mac, exactly. Yeah. Very disciplined with my schedule, with exploring opportunities. Even at the highest level of the Olympic Games, there's still more, right? It leaves you grappling for more. Mm-hmm. And so when I think of hope, I think, okay, what does this mean in light of eternity, right? Yeah. And so as I walk through that and unpack that, what has been in going through football to bobsled, hope in who Jesus is and the offer of forgiveness to take what is broken and fix it for eternity. That is true hope. And the climate that we live in, I couldn't think of a better time in history where people are grasping and searching for different types of hope that end up fleeting.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
No,
Absolutely.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, you were saying if we could get 8 billion people in the room, we kind of can in a way. Like, I mean, I don't know what the numbers were on the World Cup, but there are definitely stories that universally inspire people.
Sure. Yeah.
I think everybody was inspired by Messi's story because
Yeah.
you have this guy who's, arguably the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And he comes in there, and even that game was such a incredible game, the final game of the World Cup, which the people respond to these stories that sports kind of is like a placeholder for. It's rising up against adversity.
Yeah.
And so that's given, I think people understand that sports is like a framework for these character or traits or things, these really noble things in humanity. This obviously you playing football and getting knocked down, and getting back up again.
Yeah.
Literally getting trapped in a bathroom in Russia and getting through that. That was going through a barrier, to say the least.
There you go.
All these things led to you being a speaker.
Yeah.
And I just love to hear when the moment came where you went, I'm gonna do this for a living. This is my next path.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. So check this. When I was in the NFL and kept getting cut, I had to find a way to earn income and still have the flexibility to get on a plane if my agent calls and says, hey, Johnny, the Kansas City Chiefs want you to run a 40-yard dash. And I started to see an opportunity that there are organizations, corporately, nonprofit, associations, you name it, that want to know, hey, are there some tools that you learned in the NFL at the time, that was my background, that can help us in the marketplace? And so I saw an opportunity there. Now, when I became an Olympian and came back, that probably gave me enough steam to kick that into full time. And so I've got keynotes around how to think like an Olympian in the marketplace, how to break through barriers, leading in the digital age, cultivating a champion mindset, that where I take tools and frameworks that I learned in the Olympics and pro football, and then, okay, how do we transition that into our day-to-day lives? And so that it's so funny to look back now that these stepping stones or setbacks actually springboarded me forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
When did your book come into play and all that?
Yeah. So as I with anything, as I look down the road of what direction I want to go, whether it was football, Olympics, or speaking, I realized that men and women who were further down the road than me as a speaker at the time, they all have books out. And I'm thinking, I did not do well in English class. I just didn't. I struggled there. And I don't know if it was lack of effort. I think it was lack of effort. But I realized I needed a book. And so I wrote a book with a lot of the lessons that I learned from men and women in sport and business that I was around and how that impacted me. And we published it in 2018. And it's been fantastic. Yeah, it's been fantastic to have a book out.
For people that are listening that aren't familiar, what's the name of the book?
Yeah, it's called Push, Breaking Through the Barriers.
Oh, I love
A
it.
little bit of bobsled play on that.
Door.
Right?
Yeah.
And then this little thing happened along the way where you just so happened to meet, I don't know, President Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Tell us what that experience was like.
Yeah, so one cool thing, when you become an Olympian, you get a invitation to the White House. And so myself and 230 U.S. Olympians from the 2014 Winter Olympics had a chance to go to the White House, meet the president, and that was incredible to see the green room, to see, to be inside the White House and see Secret Service at like every single
Did they
angle.
let you go in the Oval Office at all?
Not in the Oval Office, but we got to go in the room, the media room, where the president addresses, the media after any type of national update.
Is that the long hallway
It's
one?
the long where they walk. Yeah, so we got to be inside there. So what was funny is, here we are. We got the leader of the free world, right? President Obama at the time. And you get all these Olympians in there, and he's addressing Team USA, and everybody wants to get a selfie with the president.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you got 230 Olympians turning their back to get the selfie. And so, I'm getting my selfie.
Yeah.
And I hear him say Johnny Quinn, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, am I in trouble by the president of the United States here at the White House?
Man.
Do I go to the president's office? I mean,
Yeah.
am I in
that's
trouble?
The buck
I'd be like,
stops
he
there.
knows my name.
Yeah.
He knows me.
And so he had a fun little joke about the door, like we don't want to break down any White House doors here.
Yeah,
they're a little bit older.
Oh, they love stuff like
and,
that.
so that was
good
neat.
content.
Yeah, that was cool.
What was he like? Like just.
So now we didn't have a lot of interaction. You were in a line. We shook President Obama's hand and we took a picture. And then you give the first lady a hug and then you move on. So it was very assembly line. Yeah. But the extremely short interaction that I had, it was cool.
That's great.
But I really wanted to make the Olympic team in 2018 because then in 2018 I could have met President Trump. Yeah. And you get a picture. So I was going to put my picture with Obama and Trump together and say, hey.
You're a statesman.
I'm a statesman. Yeah. But it didn't work out. And so, that'd have been funny.
So when, talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
2018 rolls around. You didn't make the team. That's obviously was a huge blow because you'd worked really hard for it. How did that shake out for you in your heart?
Yeah.
How did you feel about all that?
So a couple things, life changed at that point. Took a couple years off, and in 2017, the driver from USA One, who you know and met, Steve Holcomb, two of his guys retired.
Yeah.
So we had two open spots, and so I had a we shared the same strength coach at the time. So I flew to Eastern Tennessee, which is where he was training. Met with Steve, met with Brad, who was our strength coach, and said, "Hey, let's make one final run at this." I didn't get a medal at 30. I'm going to bring a medal home at 34. Steve already had 3 medals, so I'm thinking, okay, there's 2 open spots. Hey, he's going to come home with his 4th medal. I'm going to come home with my first. Things are lining up. And then in May of that year, at 37 years old, as you know, Steve Holcomb passed away.
Yeah.
And, at that point, it gave me time to reevaluate. Right? And with bobsled is not like your traditional sports, baseball, football, basketball, where this next up in line mentality where if Tony Romo goes down, Dak Prescott steps in.
Yeah.
No. If you lose your driver, you don't throw a guy from the pit crew in the driver's seat. It doesn't work that way. And
it's too specialized.
It's too specialized, too unique. It's like NASCAR, and I don't know much about NASCAR, but again, you don't throw your
more
tire
than that.
changer.
There's only a handful in the world who do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So at that point, it actually didn't make sense to make another run at the Olympic Games. And so to voluntarily step away was tough because I felt like, I had more in the tank. But when Steve was gone, it didn't make sense. And things started to line up. I was able to take over a business. And so, Steve passed in May. In June, I took over a small business. I own an insurance agency. Have had that for 5.5 years now, which has been a huge blessing to my family.
Oh, yeah.
So to be a full-time speaker, to own an insurance agency, those things lined up. Looking back, although it was very tough to say no voluntarily, that was the right call.
Yeah.
It was the right call. Yes.
God knew.
Yeah.
I never believe in coincidences,
What did you, I just want to take one last minute on this. What did you love about Steve? You getting to work with someone, obviously he was such a transformational figure in that world, and the Olympic team is such an inspirational person, and so many people, I hope people will Google him, watch some videos after this, but what did you enjoy about working with him?
Yeah, Steve, he was a battler. I mean, to almost lose his eyesight in 2008, to go have a surgery that was, quote unquote, still experimental, and then to come back and win an Olympic gold 2 years later. He battled, depression, other things like that. I would say this, Steve, anybody who knows Holcomb, an introverted guy. Yeah. But when you got to know him, I mean, he cared about you.
Yeah.
He loved his teammates, an absolute, just huge competitor for the United States.
Yeah.
And, will go down as one of the greatest drivers of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Again, rest in peace, Steve. We think the world of him as a person. Yeah. But any other questions you want to ask this man before we...
For me, again, it's like we have the opportunity to cover your history, your journey so far.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would love, Johnny, is just to have you back, know, and to talk about the next best chapter, to talk about all the exciting seasons you have to come.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough because, again, I know how busy you are. And it just means the world to us. I mean, there's going to be somebody that watches this today, whether they thought they knew you going into this or they're just learning about you for the first time. You really are. You bring hope, you bring inspiration to everybody, and it is not lost on me that you're a very busy person. So thank you for the time. And I just want you to commit to coming back for the next best season, because it's yet to come.
You put the pressure on. No, I'm coming back. This was great. I know we want to do this for a little while, so I'm so glad we were able to sync up calendars.
What's next for you before we wrap up?
A lot of speaking engagements. I actually have my first European speaking engagement. I'm closing out a huge sales conference in Lithuania in 3 weeks, February 3rd. And,
been there and done that. No, I'm just kidding. That's
specific. Okay, it'll be my first time.
Lithuanian speaking engagement. That's new.
Really
I'm taking an interesting flight path. We're going Dallas to Paris, France, Paris to Helsinki, Finland into Lithuania. So I'm going to be battling some serious jet lag.
We could all join in prayer that your flight will take off.
And that the door does not accidentally lock.
Yes, Jesus, don't get caught in the bathroom. Leave the doors open when you go to the bathroom, Johnny.
You got it.
Yes. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys next time on Hope Ignited.
Thank you.